Welcome to the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast, the place that brings together experts on what's now, what's new, and what's next in marketing for industrial manufacturers. Now here's the owner of True Focus Media and your host, Jeff Long.
Welcome to another episode of the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast. In this episode, I chat with Jacob Baldwin, who's a seasoned expert with a unique background that he's transitioned from the tech startup world to becoming a marketing leader in the industrial space. We dive into strategic lessons that Jacob has learned over the years, the importance of fostering relationships in the industry, which is key, right? Relationships are critical, and I know you know that, and I know that, but I love talking about that topic because sometimes people get so focused on their to-do list, the initiatives they're working on, what they've been assigned, that sometimes relationships can be forgotten. And so Jacob talks a lot about that. We also talk about a topic that I've not talked about on this podcast or really with any marketers over the past 22 years is macroeconomic factors regarding marketing strategies. So that might be complicated to you. It might be like, Jeff, I don't care, or what is that? You definitely want to listen to it because it'll make you sound smarter. It'll make you more valuable to the company, and it'll impact your marketing initiatives more than you think. Jacob also shares how video content plays a critical role in his communication efforts at United Grinding. And so we talk about video for marketing, for sales, and so much more. So you definitely want to listen to that part. He also talks about the role that marketing plays and how it services the sales department. Now, I know and you know how important marketing and sales alignment is, but we go into detail about that mindset, and it was really refreshing. Not only that, but we also talk about how to use the scientific methods in your marketing. That topic alone was an incredible concept to think about in my own marketing efforts. And honestly, I've been thinking about it a lot since we last talked about that. And so that alone to me is worth the price of admission, which is free, but hey, stay tuned for that. So I know I talked about it a lot just now that we talked about. So this episode is really jam-packed. I know you're going to love this interview with Jacob Baldwin. Your customers are searching for solutions on YouTube, Google, and AI. But the question is, are they finding your videos and content, or does your competition beat you? Most industrial companies don't have nearly enough content. And we all know how important video and content is to build trust, boost SEO, and help your sales team. But knowing what kinds of videos and content to create is very hard. And creating videos is extremely difficult. Until now. Video Value Bombs takes the burden off of you in 3 simple steps. First, use our content roadmap and customize your plan. Second, book a monthly video recording session with your subject matter experts. Third, we do the rest. We produce videos and content that can be used on your website, email marketing, paid ads, social media, YouTube, and much more. Ready to turn your video and content into a marketing and sales engine? Visit videovaluebombs.com to learn more and get started today. Oh, and if you're creating videos internally and maybe editing them yourself or dealing with unreliable freelancers, I've got you covered there too with my unlimited video editing service. That's right, unlimited video editing. Go to videovaluebombs.com and fill out the contact form at the bottom, and I'll send you more information about it. All right, back to the podcast. Today's guest is, of course, Jacob Baldwin, so let me read his brief bio here. He's an outcome-driven leader with a proven track record in driving revenue growth and market expansion for notable organizations. With extensive expertise in marketing research, digital transformation, and product launches, Jacob is highly skilled at leading cross-functional teams and managing multi-million-dollar budgets to achieve business success. His expertise spans branding, PR, media management, and even event execution, all with a focus on innovation and data-driven strategies to maximize ROI. Recognized for fostering strong global partnerships, Jacob is passionate about delivering services that go beyond expectations, creating win-win scenarios for businesses and customers alike. I was so happy to have him on the show. I've known him for a while, but he was one of the people I was like, I've got to talk to him. So let's dive in to this episode with Jacob Baldwin. All right. Well, Jacob Baldwin, thanks for joining us on the Industrial Marketing Leaders podcast today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jeff. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. So before I hit record, I said I want to have you tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience can get to know you on a personal level. So what's something unique about you that you'd like to share?
Um, I suppose keeping it on a bit of a professional level here. So I've been in the machine tool space for 7 years, and before this, I was in industrial products at Emerson Electric. That got an office up in Sydney, Ohio. But before that, I really kind of cut my teeth in the marketing space in a software as a service tech startup here in Ohio that was actually run like a Silicon Valley startup. So during the 4 years that I spent at that company, we grew probably 4 or 5x, and the CEO was running it like catered lunches every day, bring your dogs to work. It was just it was basically like a California company in Ohio. I've met a lot of people in the industrial space, and I've not met a single person who came from a tech startup background. So I would say that's probably the most unique thing professionally about me I could put out there.
That's super cool. That's super cool. I'm gonna. I don't have that exact background, but I was many years ago, kind of I feel like a previous life or something, interested in the startup community, and so I was a part of Startup Weekend Columbus. I can't
Oh,
even
cool.
think of what year that was. Probably 15 plus years ago, and our kind of squad got third place in kind of the product we were developing or whatever. So that was
Oh,
kind of
that's
cool.
amazing. Yeah.
So
What
yeah,
what what, what was your product?
so it was something that, several of us were kind of media people. So I was one of the video guys on our team. I think it was 5 or 6 people. There was another photographer, a couple other, like, video hobbyists, and, like, video file sizes can get astronomical, right? Especially if you're shooting multicam, if you're
Oh,
shooting,
yeah.
like, 4K and above, and, like, it can be wild, and so, our premise was almost like we send you hard drives, you fill it up, send it back to us, we back it up, and we kinda, like, rotate hard drives being sent out and back to us. And
Interesting.
so, the premise was kinda off-site storage because, I mean, right here on my desk or kinda behind my desk, I probably have, I don't know, 25 terabytes of storage,
Wow. Yeah,
and that's really hard to back up in the cloud, almost impossible.
for
I mean,
sure.
there's some solutions I use, but, so yeah, that was kind of the, like, cloud backup for, like, big file sizes for specifically videos.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever told that story on the podcast or really anywhere professionally, so this is like, breaking news here that's, 15 years late. Well, this is good. I'm already liking this conversation. Maybe because it was about me, I don't know. But anyway, let's get back to you, Jacob. You briefly mentioned a little bit how you got into that industrial marketing space. Um, what are some key lessons you've learned along the way these last, I think you said 7 years or so, or maybe even before that, as the landscape has changed in marketing, what lessons have you learned?
For sure. Yeah.
Mm.
So, going back to my time at Emerson, I was on the global marketing team, and, it was my responsibility really to kind of help guide this digital transformation. There was a massive project that we used to kind of basically pull a bunch of different, digital experiences into a single cohesive experience with a single product catalog ranging from compressors all the way to shop vacs and incinerator garbage disposals. I mean, it was just all over the place, and it was just really, really crazy. And so, one of the, I would say, most important lessons that I learned inside of that role is just kind of respecting the process of change. Right? It does not happen overnight.
Mm.
It's incremental, and and if you're working with people, which everyone in business, I would say, pretty much works with people. You really have to set a reasonable pace and not try to boil the ocean all at one time.
Mm.
So I think managing expectations up front, especially when you're dealing with a large, complex project like that, was one of the most critical lessons that I learned because I was just coming out of the tech space. I was like, let's move fast, let's do this, let's get it done, da 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 da. But that's not the pace of business and a global industrial company like Emerson was. And so beyond that, I worked there for 4 years and then I came to United Grinding and I've been here for 7 years. And, what's become even more increasingly apparent to me in the machine tool space is the importance of relationships, right? I mean, especially when you're selling a machine tool, a large capital, highly engineered purchase. I mean, you don't get new customers that come out of the woodwork like for a product like this, like you would for a SaaS technology or garbage disposal or even an industrial refrigeration compressor, right? So I think that is, a critical learning that I've taken from my time at United Grinding is just, the importance of maintaining and developing relationships with both people inside your organization and with your customers, because, chances are if they're purchasing a large capital, highly engineered equipment from you, then, that's, it's not going to be the last thing that they purchase.
Totally, totally. Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about United Grinding, for the audience. What products, do you make, industries do you service, and things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So United Grinding is a Swiss-based manufacturer
Mm,
of CNC grinding equipment.
mm,
However, we make more than just equipment. Grinding is the lion's share of our portfolio, but we also manufacture optical measuring machines, laser ablation machines, and multitasking machines that can do grinding, milling, drilling, and probing in a single clamping, right? Our technology portfolio spans 9 different brands. We also have an additive
mm,
branch to our business. But really looking at Studer Shop Macroza for cylindrical grinding, Walter Ewag for tool and cutter grinding. So this is like end mills, medical
mm.
tools, things like that. And then flat profile grinding is going to be our Mega Leap Blown Young lines. Our 3D printing division is called IRPD, and each of those businesses is its own brand with its own marketing presence, and they're based either in Germany or Switzerland.
Hmm.
And we're a global company. And yeah, so it's part of my job to kind of align the North American strategy with that global brand strategy and just make sure that everyone's working harmoniously.
Right, right. And, just for the listener or viewer here, several years ago, I forget, how many years ago it was, Jacob, your company had an open house with the DRMA, the local manufacturers association, and so, I was able to take a tour to see the facility and I mean, obviously top-notch products and people and just it was a blast to see, some of the things of what you're doing there and, was very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for coming to that. And
Mm,
interestingly enough, we're going to be doing another one of those on, I think, like May 6th or something like
nice.
that. So
I
feel
saw
free to
that.
come on by. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely, absolutely, looking forward to it. So, a couple minutes ago, you mentioned how, like, with marketing and things are changing and sometimes maybe people get, impatient with the how fast or slow things are going. Um, how have you noticed in the different companies that you've worked for? And I'm guessing they're different sizes, right, in people, revenue, budgets, etcetera. Are there any similarities or even differences of like, hey, no matter the size of your company, you're always gonna struggle with this. Have you noticed anything like that?
Yes. And this is one of the things that I absolutely love about marketing, right? Let's say a truly mature marketing brain is able to kind of take core principles and apply it to many different types of products, right? Or services, right? So in the software as a solution space, we were marketing a mass notification system software, right? So imagine if your school is closed for inclement weather, like we got hit with a couple of big snowstorms here in Ohio this winter. Schools closed down. Whenever you and I were kids, we would get up in the morning and watch the ticker going across the bottom and see for our school. But nowadays, School districts are more proactive. They send out communications via phone call or text message. And sometimes they need to send 40, 50, 100,000 phone calls at a time or text messages at a time. And, they would use that notification software to do that. So, in this small tech startup space, the core tenet was understanding the pain points of the customer and how your solution can be applied to make their lives easier, to help solve their problems, right? And at the core of that is an understanding, is a deep understanding of the customer's life, the customer's pain points, what the customer's daily life looks like, what kind of pain points they experience, how their lives are hard, and how your products and services can make their lives easier. And that core tenet can be applied, whether it's software as a service, whether it's a garbage disposal for a DIY, person who wants to, install their own stuff in their house, or whether that's a CNC grinding machine for a new shop who's trying to get their grinding department off the ground or off of the manual machines that they've been using for the past 40 years, right? So understanding those key pain points, those core tenets, and the value adds that your products and your services bring to the customer and how that makes their lives better, is the core tenet of a solid marketer in my perspective.
I love that. I love that. And, I talk with, marketing teams or, people in marketing all the time here in the industrial space, whether it's they're the solo marketer or they're in a large team. And I think especially for smaller companies that have maybe just one or two people on their marketing team, it can feel like, man, it must be awesome to have the big budget and the big, just backing of the company. But really it's those core principles that don't change. And so I talk with marketers all the time about, their ICP and other things, and they don't have the basics dialed in. And so when they're trying to scale with doing paid ads or video or this or that, like they wonder why it's not working. Well,
Mm.
part of it is you don't have those basics dialed in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we've got three personas that we have built our customer journey map out of, right? And so, being a capital purchase, a large dollar value purchase, there it's oftentimes decision by committee, right? And so some of these different personas have different influences at different positions along the buying cycle. And crafting meaningful messages really gets down to understanding what each persona cares about at each point along that buyer's journey, or their kind of decision making process, and then making sure that the content that we produce and the messages that we're putting into the market resonate with those pain points and kind of, let's say, they demonstrate our understanding of what the customer is going through and helping them along that decision making process.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So along with that, like, what types of content has worked best for engaging your audience then and generating leads specifically, or at least building trust and awareness?
The manufacturing space is one where like legislation has an impact on supply and demand. Like whenever the Biden administration passed the CHIPS Act, we saw a lot of projects coming through for the processing of silicon carbide boules. Whenever there were lots of incentives for EV manufacture for automotive manufacturers to go to the EV route, we saw a lot of projects coming through for electric vehicle components. And so as such, I think it's an incumbent responsibility of the responsible marketer to kind of keep abreast of some of the more um, uh, meaningful topics
Right.
in the news stream, and then kind of adapt your approach to some of these different influences in demand. So what we do is, if we understand that there is a legislation passed, or if there's we also subscribe to several macroeconomic
Mm.
analysis firms that also kind of keep a bead on, whether like automotive manufacturing, commercial aerospace, mining, industrial equipment, oil and gas,
Mm.
kind of how some of these industries are going to shift. We absolutely take that into consideration with the types of content and the industries that we focus on in a given year. Like, for instance, this year, we've got a new administration in, and he's not been shy about saying drill, drill, drill. So we know that fracking wells are going to
Mm.
start opening up. There's some end of drill tooling that is ground, and so we can expect probably an increase in demand for some of the consumables related to that type of mining operation. And so what we want to do is, create videos that talk
Mm.
about the benefits of using our equipment and some of these different types of applications that we're expecting increased levels of demand coming into.
Mm.
So we'll do application spotlight videos for some of these things. We'll create white papers. We did one about EV manufacturing, EV component manufacturing back whenever the subsidies were really, really high. And that, was an interesting endeavor because at first we talked, we named the white paper, everything need to know, or everything you need to know to prepare for an all EV future. And that lit a
Mm.
firestorm of comments. It got very political very quickly. So maybe we had to kind of pivot and then dumb down the title, not dumb down the title, but soften the title a little bit. And then beyond that, we had a couple of different ad concepts that we were running to market that piece for distribution. And we had some different key messages that we were running with various Google display, LinkedIn display ads. We do this to kind of figure out what are those words that the market responds to most. If we see concept A is getting a higher engagement rate, more clicks
Mm.
than concept B, then that kind of gives us a hint about how we should communicate about these topics to the audiences that we're serving. So, I mean, some of these decisions, it just kind of
Amen.
creates a whole ecosystem of testing and creating alternate forms of content to make sure that we're being adaptive to however the market wants to have the conversation, right?
Right, right. Jacob, that was like a masterclass answer I mean, that was awesome because I think so many times marketers are focused more on tactics or even strategies, but like you went up, layers above that to, yeah, just the global economy all the way down and how that impacts, your customers and your products and what you should focus on. It's almost like a no brainer, but maybe you're seeing this in some of the material you're consuming, but I don't see a lot of marketers talking about the need for that. And maybe that's higher, not higher ups, but different people in the company, are thinking that way. So I just appreciate you taking that route, and I can tell the the nerdy expertise, and I mean that in a complimentary way, of course.
No
Uh,
offense taken.
yeah,
You know,
it's so cool.
Jeff, to me, it comes back to, I mean, everything comes back to an intense focus on the customer's
Mm.
perspective,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And if the customers are having to operate in this, and their businesses are being impacted by some of these decisions that are being made or macroeconomic factors, then it is incumbent, like I said, on the
Agree.
responsible marketer to consider those things whenever you're developing content and creating experiences for our customers, right?
Totally, totally. Wow, that is brilliant. That is brilliant. I love that. And that's why I love this podcast. I get to have amazing conversations with industrial marketing leaders like yourself and discuss some of these, like you said, macroeconomic things and all the way down. So, Jacob, how are you using video these days for marketing, for sales, and all the initiatives you're trying to accomplish?
Absolutely, yeah. So we just rolled out a new video series that we're calling Application Spotlights, right? So we manufacture and sell highly engineered CNC grinding equipment, precision manufacturing equipment that makes specific components that go into other components, right? So this new video series that we put out is highlighting the various types of work pieces that our machines can make, that our customers make. And so in some cases, some of these components have very difficult to machine profiles or surfaces or geometries, and sometimes they're made out of very difficult to machine material. That's why they're being ground. And so the effort behind this application spotlight series is to really highlight the capabilities, the features of our machines that allow our customers to do things that seem impossible until you get behind the control of a Studer or a Walter or a Magerly or blow machine. And so, this is really an effort to highlight our machine's capabilities and demonstrate the expertise that we have in house of understanding the challenges that our customers are experiencing every single day. Beyond that, I would say probably one of my favorite video series that we rolled out was part of our IMTS 2024 communication campaign. And it was a video, let's say a storytelling framework called Unstoppable Grit. And Unstoppable Grit was really created to capture this intangible characteristic that manufacturers need to have. It's an internal quality to overcome that challenge, to find the solution, to dig through the hard work that it takes to really deliver that world class product that our customers are making with our equipment. And so we wanted to create this storytelling framework to tell our customers' story and highlight that to the highest level and help the world see the amazing work some of these shops are doing with United Grinding Equipment. And so to me, that was one of the most fulfilling and meaningful video projects that we've done. And it was so well received by our customers in the general market that we've decided to give that storytelling framework legs even into 2025 beyond IMTS. And now we're evolving our customer storytelling platform into unstoppable great stories. And so it's been a blast putting it together, and I can't wait to keep going.
I love that. And what you said early on in that was a key word. You said video series, right? You've done different video series, and I know not every company has the budget to do a video series or multiple videos or multiple video series, but like it's not a one and done thing. I've seen companies where they do one maybe product promo video and then they think, well, sales are going to come in now. That's our thing. It's like, no, that's part of the thing, right? That's part of
Absolutely.
the initiative. And so, having additional content to answer questions or showcase a subject matter expert or things like that can be very effective as well. Yeah.
I could not agree more. I think one of a seasoned marketer's greatest attributes is an undying curiosity, right? So what else can we make? What if we did this? What if we did that? I had somewhat of a mountaintop marketing moment back in 2012, whenever I was able to kind of marry in my mind, marketing and the scientific method. Right. And so like the scientific method, you got, observation, hypothesis, experimentation, and analysis. The same process can and should be applied to marketing. Right. So you observe something, you come up with an idea about how you might be able to test whether one thing works or the other thing works, and then you run your experiment, and then you draw conclusions, and you do it all over again. Right. It is just so much fun, and I think it's probably one of the only careers outside of actual science, scientific endeavors that allow somebody to kind of do this type of stuff.
And that's brilliant. I've not heard somebody talk about that relationship, right? It's testing, it's hypotheses, is it working? It's looking at the data, is it trying something, tweaking, etc. Again, I see a lot of marketers try paid ads, and they give it a good run, couple months or whatever, and it doesn't work as well, and so they turn it all off, right? They're not
Yeah,
tweaking and testing, and so I just love that idea, man. You've given me a lot to think about on this episode, which is why I love this show. So thanks for uh,
absolutely.
thanks for
Yeah.
bringing this. Yeah, I've worked with I've owned my agency for 22 years, worked with industrial companies for 8 plus years. I mean, a lot of industrial through the 22. Um, One of the challenges any company has, I find that they know how to talk about themselves, and they think that's good marketing and that's gonna sell, and it's like, yeah, there's a piece of that, right? We have to talk about tolerances and specs and things, of course, but yeah, telling stories from our customers' perspectives and having them brag about us is 10 times more valuable than us just spouting off, talking endlessly, in a video or otherwise. So I love that you're doing that. Was there a point in your time there at United Grinding or otherwise where, because it sounds like you're bought into video, like, was there a catalyst to when that happened or how you got bought into video so much?
So whenever I was at the software company, Um, I was bought into video back then, right? I started our case study program, back then, and went out and I interviewed customers, and one of my most painful but most favorite stories about professional development was getting dressed down in the boardroom by our CEO of that company, just because I hadn't put in the prep work that I really needed to make one of these case studies. And that was like a defining moment in my career. It's just like I'll never ever be unprepared, right? But part of that case study program that eventually turned into an amazing thing for that company was, yeah, let's take a video crop there. Like a PDF is one thing, pictures is another, but if you could put on camera, you know, if you can put on camera the nonverbal communication cues, you can capture that emotion. You can see what the product really means to somebody. I mean, I can't remember what the statistic was, but what a large percentage of communication, interpersonal communication, happens non-verbally, right? And it's impossible to capture that unless you have someone to look at. And I think that nonverbal is one of the most critical factors, and that's why I'm so gung ho about video.
That's so cool. Now, we'll have to talk about this offline, Jacob. Many years ago, we did several videos with a tech startup that did mass communication stuff here locally-ish. I'm wondering if it's the same company. That would be hilarious yeah, so we'll have to talk maybe offline about that.
Let's compare notes.
I know. Sorry, audience that's listening or watching, you're like, "Well, how about us?" So maybe, I don't know, we'll see how I can, keep everybody in the loop there. But as you're talking, I'm like, "You know what? We did a couple videos here locally, one in, I think, Dallas and something like that, more, customer highlight video or, testimonials." But anyway. Well, that's cool. Um, so I like to ask this because I find that the answers are very interesting and can be varied in what people say. So if you had to allocate a marketing budget for an industrial company today, maybe you're coming in, let's say, as a consultant, um, and let's say it's a company even your size or maybe a small manufacturer. Like, is there any type of marketing or type of thing that you would invest first in?
So this depends majorly on what are the goals of the business? Where's the business at? I mean, how established is the business? Are there leads coming through the door every single day, or is there some work to be done around building awareness? So yeah, my answer is gonna have to be a huge caveat to,
Totally.
I mean, if the
Which I
business
think is the right answer, honestly. It's
yeah.
like it depends. There's no, I don't know, golden ticket for every company. One type of video does not work for every type of company. It has to be strategically done. And so, yeah,
Absolutely,
I didn't
absolutely.
mean to
So
interrupt, but yeah.
no, you're fine. And so, one of my favorite sayings, or kind of, let's say, understandings that I've come to kind of, perceive the marketing role in an industrial company is marketing is a service organization to the sales team, right? And in some cases, you have a sales team that, um, let's say, whenever people were interviewing Henry Ford, and he people were saying, why don't you interview your customers about what they want? He said, well, if I would have interviewed the customer about what they wanted, they would have said I wanted faster horses, right? So nobody, it was on nobody's, purview, or it was in nobody's on nobody's radar to have, an engine with four wheels that you have a gas pedal and you go. I mean, sometimes you have to take a vision and execute it. Sometimes you have to use your vision as a marketer to align on what the best path forward is, even though maybe some people on the sales side can't clearly see the vision at the end of the day, right? So it's our job to create that vision, to communicate that vision, and then lead the execution of whether it's branding or lead generation, or if we need to um, you know create assets for our sales team to open more doors and close more deals, right? Ultimately, the types of content that we produce, the types of experiences that we produce as marketers to help our sales team do that is going to be derived from conversations that we have with those sales teams, right? So we've got the marketing brain, we've got the sales brain. It's our job to figure out how we can kind of make those things work together.
Right. And that could be a whole podcast episode on, how to
Absolutely.
align those, how to I like how you said, I'm paraphrasing, the purpose of the marketing department is to service the sales department, right? I think that's a wonderful attitude and outlook because that can get lost, egos can get hurt and there's misalignment and all misunderstandings, all those things. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. If we kind of use if we use an analogy like a war analogy or something, right? So, marketing is doing the intel. We are kind of, running air cover. We're lobbing mortars. We're softening up the ground. And then our sales guys are going in and, kind of picking up the leads and working them and making sure that, we're capturing all the value out of that effort. Right.
right, right. Well, Jacob, as we land the plane here, I have one final question that I love asking because, again, the answers are varied and very helpful. It's very practical. So I call this tool time. So give us a favorite tool that you use on a regular basis in your marketing efforts.
Um, I would be remiss if I didn't say our marketing automation platform, HubSpot. I know that it's probably one of the biggest, most widely adopted tools out there. But I've been a HubSpot veteran for 13 years. So I started using HubSpot back in 2012. I think they were just going through their Series B funding, right? So like they were still kind of an earlier company back then. But even whenever I saw what the vision of the tool was back then, I knew it was going to be a game changer. And so I brought that tool into that tech startup that I had mentioned earlier, and I'm using that today in my current role. But it's such a powerful tool because it allows marketers to do so much as far as marketing communications, as far as analytics, as far as tracking ad performance. You can monitor social media channels on there. But I would say probably most importantly, understanding marketing's role as a service organization to the sales team is capturing um, contact data, capturing customer data, prospect data, um, yeah, qualifying that contact over a period of time based on interaction with your web properties and digital assets, and then turning them over to the sales team as a marketing or a sales qualified lead, and then automatically routing those to our sales team to follow up. I mean, it has been a game changer. It's still doing amazing things for us, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, HubSpot, I mean, does so many things. It's almost like, what can't it do type of thing.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
so very cool, very cool. Well, Jacob, I really appreciate you being on the Industrial Marketing Leaders podcast today, talking about video and marketing strategy, macroeconomics. So many things that are varied but important in this industry. So, thanks so much for being on the show here today.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me, and it's been a pleasure. Let's do it again soon.
All right. Well, I hope you learned as much as I did. I mean, I love interviewing experts, industrial marketing leaders like Jacob Baldwin. So, um, obviously, we talked a lot about video. That's near and dear to my heart, as I hope it is to yours and your marketing initiatives. But when he was talking about macroeconomic um, issues and how that affects not only the business, but also marketing, that's something that I don't think a lot of marketers are thinking about. I'm sure some of the leadership is, maybe the president, whatever of the company. But are you also thinking about that? I really want to challenge you to be, looking at the news with the lens of how does this impact our company? How can we leverage that for some of the messaging we have in our marketing, whether that's social or video or other types of content? And so Jacob, of course, talked a lot about that. Uh, as well as the scientific method and how that applies to your marketing initiatives. Again, another kind of mind blowing thing is I've worked with a lot of companies And I think, like I said in the episode, sometimes they treat marketing as a event, right? Hey, we did this thing and it didn't work to our expectations. We better kick it to the curb. Well, no, like a good scientist, has hypotheses. They test it, they see what the results are, and they tweak accordingly. We really need to do with that. We really need to do the same thing with our marketing, right? And so, if a campaign hasn't performed like you have wanted it to, maybe think about why that is. If some of the video content you're putting out there isn't maybe going gangbusters like you were hoping, what's some things you can do? Now, at True Focus Media, my company, one of the things we provide is we have a list. I think we're past 42 different places where you can post and repost your videos for added exposure, to increase ROI, and to just help those marketing initiatives with your video and content marketing exceed even further. In fact, with video, uh, there's two different there's several different ways we help with video, but the two I want to talk about really quick before we wrap up is done for you content, right? That's our Video Value Bombs service where we help you with a content roadmap. We help you record the content, whether it's virtually or in person, and we multiply it into a myriad of different types, whether it's video, articles, social media content, newsletters, content, etc. And then lastly, we help with distribution. I mentioned that list of 40 plus different places where you can post and repost your content. We give you access to that detailed list and detailed strategies of where you can post those pieces of content for maximized ROI. Now, if you maybe some companies can do some of it in house, right? So for people that want to have somebody do it with them, that's Video Value Bombs. But if you can do some of the content yourself, maybe you can record some of the content, but you know how complicated editing can be. Even if you can do it yourself, you know how much time it takes. That's where lightningedit.com comes into play. It's an unlimited video editing service. Every month, it's unlimited. Give us as much video content as you can. We'll edit it, make it look professional, and give it back to you. And again, we give you that list of 40 plus different places where you can post and repost the content for maximized ROI. So if you need help with video like a lot of companies do these days, definitely check out videovaluebombs.com or lightningedit.com to see which is better for you. They have different packages, pricing. Video Value Bombs, we do custom pricing because we tweak it a little bit for each company. Lightning Edit, we have some pricing and packages on lightningedit.com where you can see that. Or if we need to create a custom package for you, we can definitely work with you on that. Well, that is all for today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Jacob Baldwin as much as I did. Keep coming back for more episodes. Oh, and one more thing. I would be honored if you were to subscribe or like or comment this podcast. So if you watch or listen to this on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music or wherever else, please subscribe. That would help me a lot. And then if you would like or subscribe, that would benefit me as well. And then I think I mentioned this on the show before, but a little pro tip is take some of these podcasts and share it with leadership. So if you're looking to do more content marketing, more video content, or whatever that might be, find one of my episodes that talks about that topic, share it with leadership and say, hey, this other industrial marketing leader is doing the same thing I'm telling you to do. What do you think about that? I find that sometimes leadership needs an outside perspective to validate and agree with what you've already been saying, maybe for quite some time. So if you haven't gotten buy-in about a given topic, again, maybe it's video content, video marketing, or something else, share some of these podcasts with leadership and you might get more buy-in from them. All right, we'll keep coming back to the show. Keep listening. And thanks so much for listening to the Industrial Marketing Leaders Podcast.